Hello everyone, welcome back to another Star Trek Discovery official Starships collection review. I'm a little late this time, so please forgive me. I have the new, we're actually about a month old now, the Vulcan cruiser seen on Star Trek Discovery. And so yeah, I've got the ship here in the box, and I've got a magazine as well. So I'm going to open this box up, get the magazine out, and show you what goodness lies inside. All right, so here we are, issue number 6, the Vulcan cruiser, once again seen on Star Trek Discovery, and have an interesting view of the ship there on the cover with some basic information down here. Considered a cruiser launched in the 23rd century. It is 142 meters long. So you open up the magazine and the format is pretty much the same as the others, with more information here and as well as how to mount the model to the stand. And of course it's affiliated with the Federation, but I'll get to that point in a little bit. Again, a cruiser, 23rd century, 142 meters long. Turn the page, and you have a little bit on the ship there, as well as different views of it. Of course, it's all CGI rendering, no physical models, of course, at this point in Hollywood. And more on that, as well as more views of the ship there from various perspectives. And finally, here's a section on the designing and the process of coming up with the ship. And some of the conceptual artwork there, and more information about the designing process and the various thoughts and false starts and attempts that went on during production process. And more on that with more conceptual artwork. And finally, caps off with more artwork and the ending of the article. So yeah, that is the Discovery, the Vulcan Cruiser magazine, that is. And you can see the image of the ship is back there. So now I'm going to put this magazine aside, fair I suppose, and I shall jump into the actual model itself. All right, so here it is, the Vulcan Cruiser, seen on Star Trek Discovery, as I've said already. I don't know what to make of this thing. Many people have nicknamed this the Corvette, because I guess it looks almost like an old Corvette. There's nothing, there's probably 90% of this design does not scream Star Trek to me. It screams something else. What? I don't know. And definitely it doesn't scream anything Vulcan. If anything, the only thing that's Vulcan looking is this kind of ring that goes around. And if you're a real Star Trek fan, you will notice that this is how some of the ships were on Star Trek Enterprise. The Vulcan ships, that is, they had this ring that went around the ship, which featured the warp engines. Personally, now that I've flipped the model upside down, it would look more Vulcan, perhaps like this, not like this. But that's just my opinion. It's pretty solid, pretty heavy. It fits in your hand like that. And the metal portion is mostly at the bottom, and the plastic stuff is kind of filled in the top. It's definitely got some weight to it. The paint looks nice. It's definitely not a bad paint job there. I don't see anything on here that says Vulcan, you know, any kind of language fonts or Federation symbols or anything like that. And just to touch on something that the magazine said earlier, if I'm not mistaken, the magazine said this ship is affiliated by the Federation. And yet, this does not look like anything that is affiliated by the Federation in the 23rd century. maybe part of that funky attitude that I have towards this is due to the fact that the useless redesign of a pre-original series era that didn't need to happen. And you've all heard my thoughts on that in other videos, so I won't go deeper into that. But needless to say, I am not a fan of this design. That's not to say that it's a bad job, and it's also not to say that this is a bad model, because the model itself is actually pretty solid, pretty cool. You know, it just doesn't scream Star Trek, and certainly doesn't scream Vulcan to me. You know, there's nothing, it just, very little on here says Star Trek, and it looks almost like a weapon and not an actual ship. You know, it's interesting. I will be honest and say that this ship, this issue is not, or was not, one that I was looking forward to, and may have honestly contributed to the delay in doing this video, because I was just dreading reviewing a ship that I didn't particularly care for. But I am a neurotic completist, as I've said many times, and you know, it's nice to have variety, of course, right? So you're gonna have good days or good months and bad months. So it's a nice model. It's definitely a pretty solid, pretty neat model, and they did a good job faithfully representing the ship as it appeared in the show. It's just not personally one of my favorites. So that's really all I can say about this ship, other than the fact that it doesn't look very Vulcan, and I wish it did. I guess if you flip it upside down, it looks more Vulcan that way. And maybe I would have accepted it a little bit more if it were that way. I don't know. The back, you can see it's got a lot of stuff going on back there. Got some engine components, different colors. I mean, I will say the model itself is exquisite. There's a lot of paneling there, a lot of Aztecing, and it's a great model. There's no doubt about that. It's a great model. I just wish that it looked more Star Trek-y, no pun intended. So yeah, that's my thoughts on this Vulcan cruiser. If you're a fan of Star Trek Discovery and love all things Discovery, then by all means go out and pick this ship up. If you are one of those fans like me who are just having a hard time stomaching the whole thing, maybe get it, but skip this one possibly. I will say that out of all the Discovery ships, the Federation ships have been pretty good. They've been pretty good, so at least I'm happy about that. And so yeah, if you have any questions or anything about this, or if you want to hear more of my thoughts on it or anything, please feel free to drop a question or something down below, and I'll do my best to answer you. I apologize to those of you who are seeking more of a praising review. In terms of the model, like I said, it's a great model. The work that was done on this model itself is great. Eaglemoss did a fantastic job. I'm just not too thrilled on the design process. So that's more of a me problem and not a product problem. So, and now I'm going to be quiet and show you what this thing looks like on the stand. But until next time, live long and prosper, and be safe and kind to one another out there.